I'm a worker for Children and Family Services, and because of that, I've seen a lot of horrifying things, types of abuse and neglect that no sane person would even be able to think about. I try my best to keep my emotions and work separately. It isn't always easy, but I'd like to think I'm pretty good at it. However, my most recent case has me about ready to quit. All of the names used in this story are fake to protect the identity of the real minor. It was a Tuesday morning. I'd been called out to the Blackwood house to do a welfare check on their daughter Emma, which was about 5 miles out of town. I turned down the long dirt road, leaving a trail of dust in my path. I pulled into the gravel driveway, and a dilapidated house popped into view. The wood of the front porch looked weathered and rotten. Tall vines crept up along the windows, and there were rust spots on the siding where splotches of paint had long since worn off. As I got out of my car, I swear I heard a scream come from inside the house. I slowly approached the door and could hear what sounded like a woman yelling. I knocked, and then all went quiet. A few seconds later, the door cracked open. "Hello?" A shy woman with disheveled hair and wide eyes peered back at me through the crack. "Good morning, ma'am. My name is Charlotte Witzel. I work with Children and Family Services, and I was sent out today to check on your daughter Emma, as she hasn't been to school in a while, and the school was concerned." "She ain't feeling well. Been too sick for school," the woman replied in a heavy Southern accent. "Would you mind taking me to speak with her? The state would be a lot more comfortable if I just make sure she's okay," I asked. "Robert? Lady from the state's here to see Emma," she yelled over her shoulder. She opened the door fully, and I got a good look at her for the first time. Her hair was matted and frizzy. Her face and dress were both decorated with streaks of dirt, like they hadn't been washed recently. It wasn't a newer dress either. It was old, like Little House on the Prairie style. She gave a toothy grin, and her teeth were yellow and black with rot and decay. I stepped into the house and was hit with a putrid smell. The interior of the house was almost worse than the outside. The floor was filthy, the wallpaper was yellowed and peeling, and the furniture was riddled with holes. Crosses were lined up all along the wall of the staircase. I heard rapid footsteps barreling down the stairs, and a small 10-year-old girl emerged. Her hair was also matted, and the white nightgown she wore was tarnished by dirt. A large man with a stained white T-shirt and suspenders followed behind her. I knelt down to greet her. "Hello, sweetheart. You must be Emma. You can call me Charlotte." I outstretched my hand, but she didn't grab it. "You're here to take me away from my parents, aren't you?" she said in a nervous whisper. "No, sweetheart. I'm just here to make sure you have everything you need," I tried to reassure her. "Tell you what, honey, why don't you take me to your room and show me all of your toys?" I asked, trying to distract her. "Okay. I can't wait to show you my dolly," she exclaimed, and she turned around to head back upstairs. My stomach dropped as I noticed she had multiple long vertical lines of bloodstains on the back of her nightgown. It almost looked as if she has been whipped. We stepped into her room, and it was very basic. Just a bed and a toy box between 4 white walls. A cross hung above the head of the bed, and a swarm of flies buzzed through the room. "Is this where you play, Emma?" I prodded, trying to get her to open up. She nodded slowly as she sat on the bed. "Except for when I'm naughty. Then Mommy and Daddy put me in the basement," she continued. "Now why do they do that to you?" I asked. "They don't like when I play with my dolly," she replied. "Why would they punish you for that, sweetheart?" I questioned. "See for yourself," she said, and pointed to the toy box. I stood up slowly. I cautiously began approaching the toy box. The buzzing grew louder as more flies swarmed around me. I lifted the lid, and the smell of decay hit my nose. "Oh, my God!" I gagged. I looked down and, to my horror, saw the body of an infant. Based on the decay, they'd been there for at least a few weeks. I looked up at her with what I'm sure was fear in my eyes. Did your parents do that?" I stammered out. "No, it was me," she grinned. "And you want to know something else?" She stood up slowly and began walking toward me with a hand behind her back. I tried to inch back from her as she approached. "What? What are you doing, Emma?" I cried. "You're fucked, lady," she yelled, as I felt a needle plunge into my neck, and I collapsed to the floor. She laughed as my vision began to fade. I woke up in my underwear, strapped upright to a cement stone in the middle of a field. I wanted to scream, but they had shoved a piece of cloth in my mouth to gag me. I blinked a few times as my vision came into focus, and I got a good look at my surroundings. It was dark outside. 2 people dressed in robes stood beside me. Torches illuminated the field around us, and I could see the male was holding a blade of some sort. "Where the fuck am I? What are you doing to me?" I stammered out as I thrashed in my restraints. "Stop fucking moving, bitch, or I swear I will cut you." The man growled as he held the knife toward me. "Well now, Robert, I think she has a right to know," the woman said in that familiar southern drawl. "To answer your question, Ms. Witzel, you are here with us tonight because you're going to be a part of something bigger than yourself." She paced around me as she explained. "A few years ago, our sweet little girl got sick." "Yeah, real sick," Robert chimed in. "Shut up, Robert, I'm talking." She scolded as she punched him in the arm. We couldn't afford to take her to the doctor, but she wasn't going to make it without something changing. So we did the only thing we knew would work. We made a deal with a demon. She circled. "The thing is about all living things. No matter their plane of existence, we all have the same wants, the same needs. You know what we all love? To eat, to feed. So our deal was to let the demon use our girl as a vessel to feed on the 66 sacrifices we bring it. And then after that, it'll leave her, and we'll have our daughter back." "And you really think that will work?" I questioned. "Well, we ain't got much other choice, do we?" she barked. "So you see, it ain't personal, Ms. Witzel. You's just the poor bitch the state sent out here." They both laughed a sickening and deranged laugh. "All right, Robert, go get the bucket," she ordered. "Yes, ma'am," Robert replied as he smiled at me with his crooked teeth. I watched him disappear through the tall grass for a moment, and when he returned, he placed a bucket of a thick, red, foul-smelling liquid in front of me. "Oh, God, what the... is that blood?" I panicked. "Sure is. Chicken's blood, to be exact. Well, with a few added herbs, of course. We dump it all over you, and it's like bait to her. She just comes running." The woman chuckled. The little girl pranced gracefully into view. A pretty and pristine white ceremonial dress cascaded down her to the ground. "Is supper ready yet, Ma?" she asked sweetly. "No, baby, not yet," her mother replied. "If you're good for nothing, Daddy would hurry up and quit dragging his ass. Maybe we'd be done by now," she growled. "Robert, get on with the carvings already. I don't want to be here all night." "Damn it, I'm trying to, woman. You usually do this part, and I don't like blood. I don't know why you wanted to switch." "'Cause I told you, I'm tired of doing the carving, goddammit." "It's your turn. I'll read the spell. Now grow some nads and get on with it," she snapped. "Okay, fine. Damn!" he yelled back. Robert approached me cautiously with the knife pointed at me. "Please, don't do this. You don't have to. You're better than this," I pleaded. "Lady, you don't know shit about me," he said sorrowfully. I began to scream as I felt the searing pain of the blade slice through my flesh as Robert carved a triangle over my heart. He looked up at me as the woman approached him from behind and slapped the back of his head. "You fucking idiot! The triangle is supposed to go upside down. Your dumbass can't do anything right, can you?" Robert paused for a moment as his jaw clenched, and he whipped around. "You know something, Edith? You've never been very nice to me, and I'm really starting to not appreciate it," he shouted scornfully as he slowly stepped toward her. "Oh, what are you gonna do about it, pussy?" she mocked. "Are you just going to come over here and—" I watched in disbelief as he pulled her toward him and plunged the knife into her heart. She began gasping and grappling his back. "I'm so sorry, Edith." Tears began to stream down his face. "We lost our little girl before we even lost our boy. They're both gone, and they're never coming home. Face it, this demon was never going to give her back to us. May as well just stop the pain here." "I'll always love you," he sobbed as he gently lowered her body to the ground. "Thank you," she whispered. Her jagged breath stopped shortly after, and he took a moment to gather his composure and then stood up straight. He quickly walked towards me and began to cut my restraints. "Get out of here, now! You don't want to be here for this next part?" I sprinted as fast as my legs could carry me, and once I was a good distance away, I turned to watch everything unfold. I watched on in horror as I saw Robert pick up the bucket of blood and pour it over his head. "Come get me, you motherfucker." Emma's body shifted into a grotesque monster with hundreds of uneven pointed teeth. The flesh was gnarled and glistening. Its limbs were bony and elongated, with razor-sharp claws on the end of each finger. With a grating shriek, the beast charged at Robert and bit off his upper half. I looked away, and his detached lower half fell to its knees, blood covering everything nearby. I found my belongings tucked away in a kitchen drawer. I sat in my car for a while debating what to do. I could call the police, but they'd never believe me. I drove in silence the entire way home, not wanting to believe what I just witnessed. I'm not even sure what I'm going to tell my boss.